Okay, what's up, guys? I'm in the back room. I moved here a couple months ago. Never really got to unboxing stuff, and this place is a complete mess. There's my bookshelf of stuff. You can see comics on the floor, boxes, and more comics that aren't on the shelves. All kinds of stuff. Almost embarrassed to show that. So basically, what's cool about having a mess like this is that it's kind of like life. When things get into a mess, sometimes just kind of stop and just kind of see what the mess is. Sometimes you find pretty good things. It's good to get all this stuff out sometimes anyway and go over it. Before I get into just a few odds and ends I want to show there, I'm going to show you real quick pickups. I'm not going to do reviews because due to the storms and stuff that's hit this part of the country I'm in, a lot of the places haven't had power. So the Diamond Distributing um, warehouse that's in Tennessee that brings the comics down here, they didn't have power for a while. So the comics are coming in sporadically. I kind of got late behind a few things. And, people have done reviews on these books anyway. But anyway, got Earth 2 number 3. To me, that's my favorite book DC's putting out right now. Heard great things about this. Can't wait to start reading it. Masters of the Universe. James Robinson wrote this one. And apparently they've been soliciting that James Robinson's going to be doing the miniseries, but supposedly Keith Giffen is taking over next issue. The guy, he's apparently the go-to guy. He's quick and fast, and he's always the guy they bring in to finish things. Two really good books here. I did read this, Minuteman number 2. Good book, but this is going to be 6 issues, and I've got a feeling it's going to be the best thing to do is to sit down and read all 6 at once, because he's definitely building up to something. The great Darwin Cook. There's some pretty good stuff in here. Can't brag enough on this. This has New Gods in it. Batman Beyond Unlimited number 4. Got this. Got all these on store credit, and I need to back up and find number 1. I think they're on number 6, so I just need 1 and 6. Really enjoying this book. A lot of Kirby influences in there. Every issue's got Batman with Kevin Dolan drawing it. And then it has backup features going through the whole thing with Justice League Unlimited from the Batman Beyond cartoon. Just a really solid book. Really good. Worth checking out. Ozymandias, number 1. Artwork was, it's not comic book art, it's fine art. So, can't complain. Then I got some things that were kind of odd for me, but I couldn't pass it up. Barry Winslow Smith he's always paid attention to, but in the 90s with his Valiant work and his work at the Ultraverse with Room, and it just really grabbed me. So I ended up grabbing these. These are on store credits. They didn't cost me anything. Wildstorm Rising from Wildstorm in the 90s, number 1. Barry Winslow Smith art. James Robinson, Starman fame and Masters of the Universe and Earth 3. Seems to be popping up a whole lot lately. He wrote these. The artwork is just amazing, man. And then I got number 2 with Kevin Maguire. Ron Mars wrote this. This is chapter 10. Apparently these went through all the Wildstorm books. Just amazing. And with this mess being out, it was kind of wild that I bought those, because what happens is, I got the bookshelf in there with stuff organized. I got a couple boxes with companies organized, and Defiant and Valiant, a bunch of companies that have gone out of business, and a lot of the indie books that are like in real good condition, or the books come out so sporadically, like Astro Cities, and they used to really get them out. You might as well just set them, in their little section. So when all this stuff started spreading out, I kind of slowed down and really started looking, and I found this. Maybe I picked it up a few weeks ago, maybe I didn't, but Alan Moore, Fire from Heaven. Number 1 with the Image. Alan Moore liked working with Image, or he liked the concept of Image, because he liked the idea of how Image was just putting out comic books, just big glut into the comic book shops, the way that the pop records were sent out in the 60s. Kind of made him chuckle. Something kind of cool, a couple months ago, some people were asking me about Continuity Comics. I found another issue of Continuity that I was trying to find. They apparently had a Rise of Magic crossover with their books. I absolutely hate this company. They were so sporadic with getting their stuff out. They were from 84 to 94, and didn't trust them ever doing a crossover, but you know, there's some really good art on there, and this actually glows in the dark when you hold it up to the light. This is a book called Megalith, and from what I understand, he got his super strength because when he was a kid, a calf, you know, was born, and he went out there and every day and he lifted it up and lifted it up. So as the calf grew, you know, it got heavier, and he kept picking it up. And one day he had super strength, and apparently he was tapping something in the mind. Never made sense to me, and that's exactly how it was. But you know, some of the art was really phenomenal in this. You know, it's got a werewolf story. You know, and it says that a guy named Ernesto Infante did the art, inked by Joe Rubenstein, Dan Barry, Neil Adams. And basically, one of the reasons, and I'm sure there was many that these books were always so late, is because Neil Adams would actually look over all the artwork, and he would change whatever he wanted. You know, you know, so basically he was making sure he drew all the comics. You know. All right, that's cool. Now there's hidden gems. You know, some of the stuff that I did in my older videos, and what I like, you know, is talking about them and stuff, is I find these hidden gems. This is Marvel Comics Presents. There was only 12 issues. The first 2 issues was a Bloodstone story. Then 3 through 12 were a majority of them were Steve Gerber and Al Milgrom doing Guardians of the Galaxy stories in the 70s here. Okay, so I've had 4 or 5 issues forever. Went to Comic Con, HeroCon down in Charlotte. Found the rest of them. I'm just missing number 3 now. So I sat down and started flipping through them, and I started going back and forth and with what I had and what I bought, got them all, you know, organized. It's part of why there's a mess here, you know, finding these. And I never really, like I said, I never read these, but I've never been able to find number 8 again. I got this for a quarter somewhere. I think it was like in Lexington, Kentucky, or something, Louisville, Kentucky, or something. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But you know, Guest Star is the Silver Surfer, and I can never find a better. I wanted to upgrade this issue because I mean it's intact. The staples are there. You know, it's just kind of beat up. You know, there's little ridges here and there. And I found out why this is the hardest one to find, because basically this is called Once Upon a Time with the Silver Surfer. And first thing that caught my attention here is that apparently this story is taking place in the 30th century and it ties to the 20th century. The 30th century story is by Roger Stern and Al Milgrom. The 20th century story, which is all the Silver Surfer stuff that connects to the story, is by Stan Lee and John Buscema. So you've got a Stan Lee, John Buscema, Silver Surfer going on at the same time that, you know, it ties in with the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, and to me that would be absolutely cool because you know, you had Silver Surfer and John Buscema, the series in the late 60s, and I think went into the 70s. But it goes back and forth between the Silver Surfer dealing with the Badoon, with Stan Lee scripting these pages. You know, so that's a little hidden gem there. You know, I don't think a lot of people know that's out there. So, you know, you have a little hidden Silver Surfer tale by Stan Lee there. All right, and then going through this mess, you know, I've got some Flash books, and I've had 2 of these and stuff, and I read these when I was a kid and stuff. And, you know, I read these, but this is what I'm talking about. You know, as you grow and stuff, you know, you forget things with all these books. Nothing really stands out. You didn't know who was doing them. These Flash books. This is issue 219 of the Flash from 1972-73. It's got a Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams, Green Arrow, Green Lantern story. You know, and this is when they were, you know, kind of hot on the Green Lantern, Green Arrow, with Speedy being a junkie and, you know, taking the truck and going across America and stuff. But here's that team right back up in a backup feature. And I don't know if these were reprinted with everything like that. And, you know, that's a little bit of history for you Bronze Age fans or Neil Adams fans. And this is Flash 226. Same deal. Right in the back, we got Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil. You know, so, you know, all these guys that go out and, you know, try to get all these and stuff. If you're a completist, they're hidden right here. And it's not bad at all, you know. So that was kind of cool to find. And then there's a little book that's kind of quirky. I kind of like it, and they actually had like some shorts on Saturday Night Live a few years ago. A guy named Tony Millionaire with a sock monkey. Now, I've got a real thing about sock monkeys, okay, really bad. was like about 4 years old, went up to my stepdad's grandparents' house, and I stayed there for a few hours. And this was an old country house they made by themselves, and it was 4 rooms, and all the doors went into a little circle. Not a big house, and it had an attic, you know. But you're in the living room, and it's right there, and the TV's there, and you take one step, and then you're in a bedroom, and they had a son that had died of leukemia, and they kept all his toys in this little glass case, and it's like Lone Ranger and late '60s, early '70s robot toys, and they looked like Mego toys of Lone Ranger and Tonto, and just 2 rows of Incredible Hulk Mego toys and stuff. And I would sit there and stare at it. And on the bed there was a sock monkey she had made, and this is in the country, so it was really made out of a sock, you know. And the thing creeped me out because I was sitting around and it looked like it was staring at me, so I went into the next room. Okay, they're still in the living room watching TV and stuff. Like I said, it's so small and it makes a big circle through these doors. There's no sneaking around. So I'm in the second bedroom, and I'm sitting there, and I think there was some old comic books or magazines or something there, and I'm flipping through those, you know, just being a kid and playing, and I turn around, there's a damn sock monkey on the bed. You know, creeped me out, so I go into the kitchen. I sit down in the kitchen, and you know, I'm sitting there, and I'm taking the magazines and stuff, and I look in there, and the grandparents are still there, and all of a sudden I turn around, the sock monkey's in there, and I go in there in the living room and like, what you doing, Pawpaw? I thought he was playing a trick on me. They never got up, so you go explain. Then recently, I sort of told the story. Everybody started sending me sock monkey stuff. I let it out of the bag. The sock monkeys freak me out. You know, I don't know if it's quite a phobia, but they're just freaking creepy, man. And my mom told me that when I was a kid, the day I stopped the bottle, I got beside the trash can, and I had my sock monkey. Apparently, I had a toy sock monkey as an infant. Didn't know, but I was sitting there sucking on the bottle. I looked at it, and I was like, I was done with the bottle. I'm like, okay, bye bye. And I put the bottle in the trash can. And apparently, I took my sock monkey by the tail and was like, bye bye, sock monkey, and like I hated him, and I put him in the trash. So maybe the ghost of the sock monkey was after me. But anyway, 20 Millionaire, man, it's got like this toy crows, and you know, their little adventures in this country house with him and the sock monkey. You know, it's just a quirky little book. It's the only one I got. I haven't found any more, but you know, the guy's definitely got his own style. I mean, you talk about indie book, real nice pen and ink, sock monkey and the crow little adventures and stuff, and dastardly blue jay coming after them. You know, it's good stuff. Found this. They had a couple of these in the '70s. A superhero catalog of games and toys and puzzles. And this is number 1, and you could just order all the toys and stuff right out of this. The Megos and anything that was, you know, comic book themed. The plush toys and the toy Batman utility belt, and you know, little kind of like a big wheel sort of thing the kids could ride. And just a lot of great stuff in here, man. Drinking cups, buttons. What year was this exactly? 1976. Now what's funny is when I was still married, so this is the early 2000s, I went to Knoxville, Tennessee, where they have a great comic book convention. And Julie Newmar was there, and oh man, one blank. The guy who played Chewbacca was there, and what is that? I'm Gonna Kill Myself. The chick that played Batgirl on the TV show, she was there too. Anyway, I found the second one of these, right? And what was amazing is up until about 96, 94, 95, 96, somewhere around there, there was a comic book shop by a guy named Rob, you know, real good friend of mine, you know, and you know, he had his comic book store, and he was a teacher, and he shut it down because it was taking too much time between the teaching and the driving to get there and everything like that. So that's how I met Rob. So, you know, flash forward up until the early 2000s, they're years later, and I'm at the Knoxville comic book store or convention, and I find one for $1. You know, I found the other catalog. I'm like, cool, so I get it. I go through there. This was his in the '70s, man. It had his address and his name in there and stuff. And then I run into him about 2 years later. I get in the car with a bunch of my friends who are going to Heroes Con down in Charlotte, and I look over, and he's beside me. And it's been so long I hadn't recognized him. He grew a goatee out and grew his hair out and everything like that. And it's when he spoke I realized it was him. The guy ages backwards. He was all in a suit and tie and all this stuff. And then here it is almost 10 years later, and the guy's like, you know, tie-dye shirt, goatee. You know, looks like he's in a Shakespeare play or something. I give it back to him. That book made it back to him. He has no idea. He might have had a little story about moving or had a box go missing or something when he was a kid or something. So all those years, that book made it back to him. It was in Knoxville, and that's like about 3 or 4 hours away from where we lived. So it just kind of traveled that way over the years, which was a cool story. All right. Now, then I found this Thor run here. Well, first of all, let me get what I'm doing. I've been holding off on a review that I was going to do because Agent 42Q is reading it, and I don't want to step on his toes because he's giving it a chance. He likes the Authority and stuff, and I gave him a heads up that Squadron Supreme here is the book that influenced Kingdom Come and Authority and everything like that. I got all 12 of them here. But what led up to that is that there's two issues. There's a bunch of issues of Squadron Supreme that they were in the Defenders right before this came out, this miniseries, and before that there's other things. They're like, here's a run these three issues of Thor. I'm getting ahead of myself. 280, 281, and 282. There's a 3-issue run that I never noticed carried over into other books. This 3 little issue run here. Okay, so you got Thor 280. It's where Thor actually ends up doing a little bit of dimension hopping. He ends up on a Hyperion's world, and Hyperion is an analog or an archetype, whatever you want to call it, of good God, Superman. And this is Marvel's version of Clark Kent in Metropolis, but and that's the story. And then Thor steps in. It's got Darius Dax. It's got who's supposed to be a Lex Luthor type. Instead of going bald, Hyperion caused his hair to grow uncontrollably and stuff like that. Fun little book. Okay, so that led in. Then I had Thing versus Hyperion. I found just kind of go with those, keep them all together, and that helped lead into the Defenders, and then popping up the Avengers into their own miniseries. Mark Grunwald just wrote a brilliant story. I was reading this when Watchmen was coming out, and we all know how great Watchmen was and stuff, but this has been influential as well. So check that out. And I might do a response video when Agent 42 gets his up. Then we have these 2 issues here, 281 and 282. Thor ends up in limbo. Okay, this is a great story. Thor loses his hammer, and back then he still had the 60 seconds to get his hammer back, or he turned into Dom Blake. Excuse me, but where he's in limbo, time's not right there, so he's walking around without his hammer. So he ends up taking like a car or something, or a couple cars, and he squashes them down and molds them to where he has something close to Mjolnir. Because what it is that apparently Mjolnir is heavy, and he needed to feel that balance, like a balance of a good sword. He needed something real heavy to make it actually feel like his hammer, and he was throwing it around and stuff. And he was fighting, Tempest and stuff, and Immortus popped up in here and everything like that. It's a good little story, right? Well, I was going to do a review on Avengers Forever, but I am struggling to get through it because so much of this is filler of stuff that happened before in comics. They're like fixing continuity in this and stuff. Kurt Busiek, Carlos Pacheco and stuff. And Adventures Forever is really, really good, and I might do a review still when I can get through it. But this is one of 2 that this is a little quirky story that they, fixed in here. Okay, apparently this messed up some continuity because the Space Phantom popped up, and they reference it in here heavily. Okay, so it seems like half this series to me was catching everybody up on continuity and stories that happened before Avengers Forever, and then they fixed it in this. So, I really got tired of reading stuff I've already read before. It stayed in my mind. But it just blew my mind that those 3 issues of Thor went together, and one was Squadron Supreme and one was Avengers Forever right there in a row. So that's a good time and a good run for Thor there to pick up. I think that's it, guys. Just felt like shooting a little video here. I'm going to do a podcast, so enjoy, and hopefully this microphone worked. So I will talk to you guys later. Carry on.